I first worked in immigration in 2003. I think I've interviewed at least 400 cases. The object that I'm looking for is to show the hardship if their family member is deported. They're afraid. They're afraid to talk. So many times I've heard, I've never told this to anybody. Or I usually don't let out these feelings. Sometimes people are afraid to return to their country. Some are escaping the violence that they have a lot from El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras. Sometimes they were raped by family members. Some of them came as children and just were never able to get their green card. My role in these immigration cases is doing a psychosocial assessment. A psychosocial assessment is where you look at the psychological aspects that are affecting the client, and social means their environment, what they've experienced their whole lives. Everyone does it a little bit differently, but I like to include as many details as I can so I can get to know the client. And I start with their childhood, and we then talk about every aspect, work, health. So if they're deported, they leave their spouse, their children, their jobs. I will encourage the client to, even though they're fluent in English, I'll say, tell me that in Spanish. When you talk about the feelings you have for the belonging of your family, tell me in Spanish. They show a lot more emotion. And this helps me to assess how they would be affected if their family member were to be deported. If I can let them know that I care, that I'm understanding them, it helps to break down a lot of barriers. And I'll give you an example. I remember a 10-year-old boy, and at first he didn't want to even look at me or talk to me. And we started talking, and he started sharing how he was really feeling isolated and alone, and he started just gently crying, and I just accepted him and let him talk, and he started sobbing. And this 10-year-old who had never talked to anybody about his feelings sat in my office for a half hour just sobbing. And I let him know that that was okay and that he was okay. Often parents, very caring parents, but they never had a chance to have counseling when they were young. And they don't know that their kids need to talk or that they would benefit from counseling. So I help them in this role. My job doesn't stop after I stop talking to them. I'll go for a walk and I'll try to think of how can I express what they're getting across to me to show that it's a severe hardship. I'll try to figure out what's going on with them. What are they thinking? So I'm walking and working this through. I can only manage one a week because it takes me many hours to do it. First of all, the interview is 3 to 4 hours. And I do a very thorough one. It's usually 8 or 9 pages. And so after I finish the assessment, I send a draft to the lawyer, and then he sends that on with all the other paperwork to the court system, which goes to the judge, and then he makes the evaluation and decides if the client can stay in the country. So I'm mostly retired. I stopped working at a hospital recently. I continue the immigration because they need it. They need help. But I know that there's several immigration lawyers in the area. And I actually don't know any other social workers who do this immigration work. When people come to see me, they're often feeling hopeless. When they're immigrants, they have an added stress because they are worried about returning, separating from their family, going back to extreme poverty. One client's son said to me, "Am I going to get deported?" He was a U.S. citizen. "Am I going to lose my father? What will happen to me?" Why do I continue? Because there's such a need. Because my heart goes out to them. I see the fear that they have, especially now.